Going to show you a little bit about Marq.com today. Marq.com is a desktop publishing app which used to be called LucidPress. So if it looks familiar and you've used LucidPress before, that's why. It's the same basic app, just has a different name now. So you're going to click this link to get started, and I'm actually going to copy this link and open it up in another window, but you're just going to click on it. And when you do so, it's going to take you to a login screen. You're going to log in with your Google account. Go ahead and do that. And it may ask you to accept an invitation. For me, it just takes me right here, and then I'm going to see a screen that looks like this. I'm going to skip the tutorial for now, and I'm also going to make this a little bit easier to view by simply clicking this button right here, toggle content pane, then going up to view and choosing zoom to width. All right, so it looks very similar to Google Slides, but this is not a presentation tool like Google Slides is. It's just the appearance that is going to be similar. So we're going to scroll down here, just like in Google Slides. You can also use these previews that you would see like in Google Slides so you can get to the next page, but notice that that's going to change your size again. So I just like to scroll whenever possible. And you're going to see a table of contents here, and we're actually going to skip right ahead to step 2. And to do that, when you click on it, you'll notice that nothing happens, but down at the bottom, it's going to say Shift, Control, and click. So I'm going to hold Shift, Control, and click, and that's going to take me to step 2. The first step, by the way, is working with templates, and we don't need any of those now. We're going to get into those later on. So there are 3 different areas of the screen that you can use to make your different documents, your publications as they're called. Desktop publications would be things like flyers, posters, cards, websites, and other visual media. So that's what we're going to be doing with this, is making visual media. All right, so you can go over here and you can add a page, you can add text, shapes. So that's similar to things that you can do in the Google apps. Also, there is a toolbar going across the top of the screen, which looks very similar to the Google apps. But what you also have over on the right side of the screen here is what's called your context pane, which is going to change based on what you have selected. So right now I have an image selected or a shape selected, so it gives me different options there. If I click on this text box, notice it's going to give me options for text. If I click on the background of the page, it's going to give me options for the page. All right, so scroll down to the next page, and you'll see it talks about just what I said. Left content pane, next page talks about the top row, and the one on the right, which again is your context. It's going to change depending on what you click on. So try that out and see what happens over here. Then continue to scroll down, and you'll see the next step is the feature find. Now, feature find is sort of like a help or a search option. It's these binoculars up here, and it tells us to search for small caps. So if I type in small caps, it's going to show me where I can find that in my options, okay, as well as some other things that might be interesting to me. All right, so that is the next screen there. And if I continue scrolling down here to step 4, this is where we're actually going to start doing something. So it says your turn. Double click to edit the text box below. So if I double click in this text box, I can't change the size of it or I can't move it around, but I can highlight this text, and it says to bold it using the toolbars on the top or on the right. So if I go up here, wait a second, it won't let me bold it. If I go over here, wait a second, it won't let me bold it. But what it will let me do is use these text options, and one of those is strike through. And just because I'm angry at it for lying to me like that, I'm going to do a strike through, and I'd like you to do the same. All right, then down here it says to select either of the text boxes below and go to the right panel. So there we go. And expand spacing. Okay, so here's spacing. I'm going to expand that by clicking the little triangle. And then edit the line spacing and character spacing. Okay, so here's my line spacing, and that just gives me more space in between or less space in between. Okay, I'm going to make that one look a little goofy. I'm going to click on this one, and for this one, I'm going to change my character spacing. And I'm going to make those letters really, really close together, and then I'm going to see what they look like really, really far apart. Okay, so play around with those, and again, change the line spacing and character spacing. By the way, pause this video if you need to complete any of these tasks. All right, so I'm going to continue to scroll down onto step 4, and it says that most cases I'll be customizing existing content in a project, but that's actually not true. It tells us it's also important to know how to add our own content. So to add a new text box, we click the T icon over here, and then you can choose any of these styles. So I'm going to choose headings because it's the largest one. And normally I'd be able to move this around, but it's not going to let me do that right now. It says to type in our favorite movie. And for me, my favorite movie is Back to the Future. I doubt that's your favorite movie, but if it is, you could also put that. And then it says you might need to adjust the size of the text box to fit, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. And sort of I'm going to move it around and make that a little bit easier to see. All right, so that's step 4. Now I'm going to go down to step 5, add shapes and images. It says to add a shape from the left panel on this page to this page. So I'm going to click on shapes, and here's a circle. Oh man, the page is locked. So again, I'm a little angry that it's not going to let me do that. But it also says that we can add our own images. So to do that, I'm going to go over here to my images, and you can see I've already have some images in there that I've uploaded. Here's some Classcraft things that I have from over the years. I can drag those over there. It's not going to let me do it right now. But if you want to upload an image, click Upload Image, and then choose the image that you want to add. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff in my pictures here. And let's see, got my Classcraft powers. No, it's not that interesting. Microsoft Clip. All right, I don't know what that is, but I'll go ahead and add that. And then eventually I can add that to my project, but just not on this page. All right, so I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to go to the next page. Steps 5 continued. Now it says, once I've experimented with my own shape, practice my skills on this sample image, double click on the image and select another to replace it. So I don't want to see this when you submit your work. So I'm going to double click, and I'm going to use that little doggy that I added and insert. And there it is. Okay, so you should have a different image here as well. And then click on the square and change the fill color using the toolbar on the right. So here's the square, and you see the fill color, and I'm going to change that, except for the fact that it doesn't let me. Why do you lie to me, Marq? I don't know. It looks like it will let me change some other stuff here. Maybe not. Okay, so just change this image. That's all you need to do there, and go to the next step to collaborate and share. It says we can share our work via the blue Share with Collaborators button at the top. And notice it's not blue. It isn't in their instructions either, but it is gray up here. And you just click that share, and then you can see the different options there. You can click this button if you wanted to add people to your project. And that's how you would do that. So I think that's the button they're talking about. But what we're going to do is scroll down to the next page. And it says we can export our project as a PDF, JPEG, or PNG, and we can share it to the web and order prints. So if you had something that you want to create, that you created, that you wanted to get a nice high quality print of that, you could do that through Marq, but we're not going to do that. So instead, we're going to go to share, and we're going to choose publish on the web. Okay, and you're going to change the published project to your last name underscore MIG for Marq Interactive Guide. All right, and you're going to uncheck all of these boxes, check all of them, and make sure that you've actually done the work that I asked you to do. Okay, so I asked you to go through these pages, and you should have formatted this text. You should have changed the spacing of this text. You should have added your favorite movie here. You should have added a shape, but it wouldn't let us. You should have changed this image to a different image, and then you are exporting it by publishing it to the web. Click publish, and it'll take a couple minutes to process through that. All right, and then once it finishes publishing, it'll tell you it's successfully published. You're going to choose copy link, and it'll tell you it's copied to the clipboard. And then you're going to go back to the Marq Interactive Guide assignment, which will be labeled 4.1. And it tells us that you're going to submit a URL. So to do that, you're going to click Submit Assignment. You're going to go to Create. You're going to paste, and then press Enter. That will make it a clickable link, even though it won't look like it. It does. And you're going to click Submit. And to check to make sure if that worked, you're going to click on your submission. You should see a clickable link. And when you click on it, it should take you into your interactive guide with the edits that you made on the slides that I showed you. And that is a very basic overview of how Marq works. We'll get into some more interesting stuff in the next activity.